I know, I was supposed to be doing this in April. We are now in the middle of May. But unfortunately, life gets in the way sometimes. And yeah, you plan to do something and then something just craps all over it. Anyway, we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it. So this is going to be my thoughts and reviews of all of the Christopher Nolan films, right from Following all the way through to Oppenheimer. There's a couple here that I have not watched. I have never seen The Prestige, and I have never seen Insomnia, and also, starting it off, I have never seen Following. So I don't know what to make of this. Let's get into it and let's check this one out. Okay, first up in this Nolan marathon, Following. Yes, never seen this before. This is only recently, had a UK release on Blu-ray, and I was actually quite surprised how entertaining it was. Before we get into the story and the picture quality and everything, I'm just going to read you a little bit on the back here, which is about the production of it and that, because it's not a huge Hollywood movie or anything like that. So this is Christopher Nolan's debut feature film in 1998. First time on Blu-ray in the UK. Armed with a 16mm camera, a tiny budget, and using his now trademark non-linear structure, Nolan presents a gripping neo-noir set on the back streets of London. Shot over the course of 12 months, with Nolan covering the majority of production duties himself, Following provides a thrilling introduction to one of modern cinema's great visionaries. Yes, now this is it's in 4:3 format, so old standard television. And it is in black and white. It is quite heavy on the grain as well. I suppose being shot on 16mm, it gives that old camera type of effect. So this film is about a young guy called Bill. He's a struggling writer. He's unemployed. And he has this fascination with following people. Just going out, following people. It don't matter who they are. Just observing them. He says, for material for his writing. But one day he bumps into this guy Cobb in a cafe who's cottoned on to Bill following him, and he strikes up a bit of a friendship with him, and it turns out this bloke Cobb is a burglar, but it goes a lot deeper than that, because there's also this woman that Bill gets involved in, and there's certain ties. And what they were saying about his linear, the way that Nolan does this, there's certain parts of the story where it happens, something happens, and then they kind of like show you afterwards the building up to that happening. And it's an interesting kind of like character study of this young guy Bill, as he sort of like gets deeper and deeper into this dark kind of like shadowy underworld. And there is a bit of violence that occurs, but there is a nice little twist on the end of the film as well. But for Bill, what turned out as just a harmless thing about following people has turned into something a lot more darker. So yeah, I thought it was good. It was only an hour and 10 minutes, so it wasn't very long. Like I say, it's 4:3 and it is in black and white, and it's got a lot of heavy grain here and there, but it was a really interesting story. I like these two characters, especially Bill, and I just thought it works really well, and it didn't overstretch itself. An hour and 10 minutes for this kind of film was kind of like perfect. One of the scenes that kind of gave me a little bit of a giggle was actually when Bill and Cobb were going to Bill's apartment, to his flat, and just slapped right on the front of the door was the Batman emblem. And it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go there later on. Yeah, so yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It's a very kind of like basic type of film. With the characters and the look of it, very very basic, but I thought it works really well, and it shows, you know, how versatile Christopher Nolan is and what we can expect from him later on. So there we go. That's Following. Definitely give that one a go if you can. It's not your big Hollywood blockbuster style movie, but it's a very interesting little character study about these two blokes. But it's very interesting watching these two characters and seeing what happens to Bill. So yeah, that's Following. I'll definitely give that one a recommendation. Okay, so next up is the first of the Christopher Nolan breaks Hollywood movies. Yes, Momento, starring Guy Pearce as Lenny. Sorry, Leonard. Now, I bet before they actually started making this film, I can just see there's a room with loads of editors in it and Christopher Nolan standing at the head of the room. And he says to them all, okay, who would like to edit my movies? And no one put their hands up, apart from one poor bloke at the back. And he was like, I guess I will. That poor sod. Yes, this is an editing nightmare, but it's very cleverly done. Yeah, I think this is probably Guy Pearce's probably best film ever. So he stars as Lenny, or Leonard, and he's an ex-insurance investigator, but the main part of the story is that he's investigating the murder of his wife and wants revenge. And he has a short-term memory problem. So, I mean, that's really tricky, isn't it? That's really tricky to do. And we see this character going along, and every single sequence, something else is introduced, and then something else is introduced, and there's a few twists here and there, but that's it for about an hour and 50 minutes. It could be really confusing if you decide to duck out and go to the toilet. Or if you're in the cinema, yeah, leave the cinema for about 5 minutes and come back. You won't know where you are. But I mean, this is what we've come to expect from Christopher Nolan, either like memory or time or bending kind of stuff. I mean, we've seen it in Christopher Nolan's later films, you know, Tenet and Inception, and even in other films. It's all mind bending and time bending and that kind of stuff. This one is all to do with the memory, to do with short-term memory, and exactly how much memory you can retain before it resets and you have to start again. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. It's very well put together. It's an editing nightmare, which is perfect. And yeah, I'm just thinking, what would have happened if I'd gone to see this in the cinema with Papa Bowman? I think Papa Bowman would have lasted about 3 minutes and he would have been gone, totally gone. So yeah, you have to stick with it and you have to concentrate and don't let your mind, you know, don't start picking up your phone and start scrolling or surfing some website. Just stick with it. But it's very interesting watching this character played by Guy Pearce. Carrie-Anne Moss is also in it as well, and Joe Pantalino? I can't remember his name. Yeah, both him and Carrie-Anne Moss, obviously from The Matrix. But yeah, this is really Guy Pearce's film. I think this is his kind of like, must be his breakout film. I know he did LA Confidential, but I think this is maybe one that he's more well known for. But yeah, it's an interesting watch. It's a mind bender, and I think personally, Christopher Nolan is in league with pharmaceutical companies, because whenever you go and see a Christopher Nolan film, you want paracetamol when you've done. So I think he's in league with the pharmaceutical companies, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that is Memento. It's definitely a recommendation, but some people are going to like it, some people are not going to like it. It's not the type of leave your brain at the door type of film, so you definitely have to have your wits about you to watch this film. Anyway, that's Memento. Okay, so next up is Insomnia. Yes, starring Al Pacino, Robin Williams and Hilary Swank. Now, this is one of the ones that I have never seen before. This was a very interesting police examination and investigation into the death of a young woman right out in Alaska. So Al Pacino plays this detective. He goes out to Alaska to investigate the death of a young 17-year-old girl. He goes looking for one of the suspects, Robin Williams, who's a writer there. What follows is a lot of covering up and a lot of trying to bury secrets. And there's a really good, interesting exchange between Robin Williams and Al Pacino when they find out that Robin Williams did actually kill the young girl. So you've got two men, both responsible for killing people out in Alaska, and they try to kind of cover it up and at one point help each other, try and push the blame onto the murdered girl's boyfriend. Now, I gotta say, it was a really good, interesting story. The landscape was really nice looking, fantastic in 4K if they released 4K. You know, all the Alaskan hills and the mountains and the snow peaks and all that kind of stuff. There is a problem though. It doesn't get dark. A case of insomnia, yeah, if you stay awake for too long, which Al Pacino did. And you can see by the end of the film, it's like me after a 12-hour shift. I was just trying to stay awake as best as you can. Yeah, but anyway, I thought it was really good. The performances were good. Al Pacino was top notch. I've got to say though that Robin Williams, I've never seen a Robin Williams film where he's not comedic. I think he did another dramatic role in, is it 1 Hour Photo? Something like that, maybe. But yeah, I've never seen a role where Robin Williams has not, you know, laughed it up. Everything I've seen him in, it's been comedy. So this was a nice change. This was a nice change, and he played it really well. And it's a shame that we can't get to see what he may have done. You know, it's the same with Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks started out, you know, in comedy, and, you know, developed his skills and went into dramatic roles, and look at him now. So it's a shame that we never got to see what maybe Robin Williams could have done later on. Robin Williams' comedy stuff is just absolute genius. Absolute genius. But this was a nice little change. And at times he was a little bit scary and very, very dramatic. And yeah, it was just a completely different Robin Williams than what I'm used to. And I think that probably shocked me more than anything in the film. So I thought it was a really good film. Hilary Swank was also really good. She was just kind of like a police officer out in Alaska, and she was like helping the investigation. But the main story was really Al Pacino and Robin Williams. I would definitely give this one a go, if only to watch Robin Williams be scary in places. Yeah, so there we go. That's Insomnia. Yeah, I thought it was a really good film. Next up, from 2005, Batman Begins. Why do we fall? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up. Let's talk about Batman Begins. I can't talk about the whole film speaking like this. Okay. Had to do that. Had to do that. Yes, okay, from 2005, Batman Begins. We're only a couple of films into Nolan's catalogue, and all of a sudden we've got this massive, massive Hollywood blockbuster, Batman Begins, starring Christian Bale. This is not my favourite of the Christopher Nolan Batman films. Everybody knows that is The Dark Knight, but that is to come. So, yes, I can't wait to talk about that one. Yeah, this one is really good. It's like an origin story. You know, we know the origins of like characters like Superman, you know, crashing onto like, you know, the Kent farm and being brought up and everything and going to college and that. But we learn a little bit more about Batman and Bruce Wayne, and when he was a boy, we know that, you know, his parents got killed in a mugging, but we get to see a few nice little subtle touches and very emotional touches with him and his dad. I don't know where his mum is in these flashbacks. She's probably in the kitchen making the dinner or something. Yeah, so throughout the film we get a few father and son flashbacks, and it kind of like kicks off when Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne is adult age, and he's kind of like in this Tibetan prison camp. And Liam Neeson finds out Bruce Wayne and wants to mentor him. Basically, he's been missing a Padawan all these years. So they go up into some like Tibetan monastery type of thing with a load of swordsmen, and tries to get him to join them so that they can go back to Gotham and just rid Gotham of all the slime and the scum. Yeah, just get rid of everything. Get rid of all the villains in Gotham. Of course, old Bruce doesn't think anybody will take him seriously in Gotham. So he needs a symbol. And Batman was born. Yes, Batman Begins. We get to see Bruce Wayne putting together all of the Batman stuff. Then we see Bruce taking control of his dad's company, Wayne Enterprises, and with the help of Morgan Freeman, yes, the suit is born, and the Batmobile, or the Tumbler rather, and yes, it does come in black. And yeah, a legend is born. A legend is born again, because you know, we've done it a few times now with these Batman films. But I mean, what's next? A Superman film? But yeah, Christopher Nolan's Batman take is fantastic. Everything is spot on. The villains, the heroes, the sound, the design. The cinematography at the beginning in like the Rocky Mountains and stuff like that. Just the feel of it. It feels like a proper Batman film, dark and in peril at times, as opposed to like the Tim Burton and the Joel Schumacher films where there's a lot of comedy thrown in there with these characters. But yeah, it's definitely a darker take on the Batman story, and a violent one at that as well. So, yeah, it's a great film. It's 2 hours, I think about 2 hours, 20 minutes, I think, which I didn't even notice the time. It looks great on the OLED. And sound is brilliant, but I'm kind of a little bit annoyed at Christopher Nolan because he doesn't like Atmos. Everything is DTS HD Master Audio. Whereas, you know, we want 4K, we want Atmos, we want DTS-X. It's a bit of a shame because I think the sound would be incredible in Dolby Atmos, but we have to settle for a DTS soundtrack, which I'm not moaning about because it's a great soundtrack. It's just something more would would be great. But yeah, there we go. That is Batman Begins, a fantastic comic book movie. And a great restart to the Batman story, and will definitely remain as one of DC's best films. Yeah, there we go. That's Batman Begins. Okay, next up, The Prestige. Yes, I've just finished watching this. Nice little twist on the end there. I didn't see that coming. This is for all you budding magicians out there. Yes, this is about the rivalry between two illusionists or magicians, played by Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, and the war between them to find the perfect illusion and to outdo each other, even if it means backstabbing and, you know, stealing secrets, and the lengths that they'll go to be the most popular illusionist. The cast also includes Michael Caine, as well as Scarlett Johansson, with a very English accent. Yes, a very London English accent. I've actually never heard Scarlett Johansson talk with an English accent before, so that was took a little bit of getting used to. And we also have Andy Serkis as well as David Bowie. Yes, David Bowie playing Tesla. And no, Elon Musk is not in the film. So it's a suspenseful, magical mystery thriller of just these two blokes that are trying to outwit each other. And there are some nice little twists in there thrown in. There's some reveals of how some, you know, magic tricks are done, although I don't know if they're actually accurate or if they're just made up for the film. There's also a bit of tragedy in there as well when illusions go wrong, and the rivalry between Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman escalates. But overall, I really enjoyed the film. Thought it was really good. Performances were fantastic, especially between Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. And yeah, Michael Caine shone really great in this. He was kind of like the instigator of a lot of the illusions. So he was kind of like the inventor of a lot of the illusions for, you know, the magicians themselves. Whilst not my favourite of the Nolan films, I would definitely recommend giving this one a go if you like your magic and you like a good mysterious thriller. And all I can say is abracadabra. Next up in the old Nolan marathon, we have The Dark Knight. Yes, the second of the trilogy. In my opinion, the best of the trilogy, but also I would say this is Christopher Nolan's best film. For me anyway. It's very close. It's a very close tie for me between this and Interstellar, I'm telling you. Depending on how I'm feeling one day. But yeah, this, of course, returns, you know, Christian Bale as Batman. And we've got a new menace, which was teased at the end of Batman Begins. And it's the Joker, played brilliantly by Heath Ledger. And the Jokers have come, Jokers have gone. People have got their preferred Joker. Jack Nicholson was a great Joker. Caesar, is it Caesar Romero? I think. I think he played the Joker in the 60s TV show. There are a few people that like Jared Leto, his take on the Joker. For me, Heath Ledger. His screen presence is empowering. It's one of those rare moments that come along every now and again. You know, we had, for a villain, or for any character really, we had it with Darth Vader in Star Wars, the shark in Jaws, you know, the character that everybody remembers and is iconic and just attached to that film and that franchise forever, no matter whatever happens. And he just pulled off the most incredible experience and role on this film. I can't say anything else about it. The action is fantastic. The IMAX scenes are jaw-dropping, especially the opening scene with the masked clowns robbing the bank. The hospital scene, which was partly improvised. The underground car chase with the police cars and the lorry and the rocket launcher. The bat pod or the bat bike, whatever you want to call it. It's just in my opinion, one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. This comes in behind 1978 Superman as the second greatest comic book movie ever made for me. The Dark Knight. Absolutely incredible. We get all the returning characters as well. You know, we got Michael Caine is back. We've got Morgan Freeman is back. Eric Roberts is in there. And we've got Maggie Gyllenhaal replacing Katie Holmes. And of course, we've got Aaron Eckhart playing Two-Face, Harvey Two-Face. For me, Maggie Gyllenhaal didn't really encompass that character. I would have liked Katie Holmes to have done it for that film, for continuity. I don't know the reason why she didn't do it. Maggie Gyllenhaal just doesn't have that draw for me. I've just never been drawn to anything that she's been in. But she still did a good performance. But yeah, I think definitely Katie Holmes would have been a perfect fit for whatever reason that she never appeared in it. But anyway, there we go. That is The Dark Knight. Absolute masterpiece. Absolute masterpiece. Oh, I was having a really nice dream. Me and Daisy were getting it on. Hang on, I'll be back in a minute. Well, that was a happy ending. Okay, so next up we have Inception. Yes, the film that started to confuse people because what came later on really did confuse people. This is the start of the brain teaser ones. Yes, this is Inception. So this stars Leonardo DiCaprio. What would you call him? The Dream Master or something like that. He's trying to get back to his kids. He enters dreams and he wants to pull off this thing called an inception, where you plant a idea in someone's head when they're dreaming. I've had one of them before. Yeah, we've also got Joseph Gordon-Levitt and also Ellen Page before she was he. Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy, Tom Berenger, Michael Caine and so forth. So a lot of regular Christopher Nolan actors there. What really can I say about this? It is a fantastic film. It is a fantastic film. It's multi-layered. It's entering dreams. It's consciousness. It's going dream within a dream within a dream. And we have these weird kind of like visions. The visual effects are really stand out. Stuff that you've not seen before, like the curling building that goes right upside down. We've got a train that goes through the city, exploding buildings. And two of the really, really good, impressive scenes were the one where Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in the hotel corridor, and he was just going all over the place, like he was in Zero G. That was a really impressive scene. And there was one other scene as well when Leo and Ellen Page were out in the streets, the deserted streets within the dream, and they had these big mirrors that they pulled. But when they pulled the mirrors on the street, there was no reflection of the cameraman. So that's really nifty. I don't know how they did that. But I was expecting Christopher Nolan to be standing there with a cameraman going like that. But no. Yes, this is a big, lavish, looks so expensive. Probably was really expensive. It won 4 Academy Awards. 2.5 hours of absolute fantastic, mind-bending, dream-bending, reality-bending. I can't say anything other than that. Some great performances, especially from Leo DiCaprio, as well as Joseph Gordon-Levitt as well. Michael Caine's not in it too much. I think he's only in a little bit, but Cillian Murphy is there as well. And also, what's his name? Ken Watanabe, I think that's his name. Yeah, he was really good as well. And Marion Cotillard. Cotillard? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so really enjoyed that film. It is one of my favourites among Christopher Nolan films. I do have the Blu-ray Steelbook for it, but I figured I'd just show you the 4K rather than digging out the Steelbook. But yeah, I absolutely love it. 2.5 hours. It's 2.5 hours long, but it didn't feel like 2.5 hours. I was probably asleep for most of it. Yes, but Inception, definitely a thumbs up. One of Nolan's best films, and just the design on this is stunning. The visuals, the sound or audio, my flipping Norma, especially when that train crashes through the cars. But the whole audio on this, you know, it's only DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 because for some reason Christopher Nolan doesn't like Dolby Atmos or anything like that, but the sound is still absolutely fantastic. And the score as well, you can't get away from the score. Awesome score. So yeah, definitely a thumbs up. Give that one a go if you haven't seen Inception. It can be a little bit confusing if you don't sit there with it, because they are like entering different dreams and then layers and layers and layers of dreams. It's like a giant cake. Yeah, trying to make your way out to the top of the cake. Anyway, there we go. That is Inception. Okay, next up, The Dark Knight Rises. Yes, the third in the Christopher Nolan Batman franchise. This was really good. Yeah, I've got to say, the whole Batman trilogy, there's not one bad film amongst them. You know, there's one that's maybe not as good as another one, but they are still three fantastic films. The same as, like, you know, the original Star Wars trilogy and Lord of the Rings. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant. Again, Batman, Bruce Wayne is up against a formidable foe in the vein of Tom Hardy's Bane. Hang on, let's see if I can do this. Batman, you have my permission to die. Yes, he also had his permission yesterday as well as to die. Anyway, yes, The Dark Knight Rises. Lots of action, lots of peril. We get Catwoman in tight leather. That's worth the price of entry alone. We get the Bat Bike, the Bat Plane, the Bat Car, all of the bats. We also get Joseph Gordon-Levitt as well, making his appearance as a police officer turned Robin. And of course, Michael Caine's back, all the familiars, and Gary Oldman. And yeah, it's Batman trying to save everything again and trying to defeat the villain, like he had to with The Dark Knight, with the old Joker. But there was a backstory to Bane, and he just wants to take everything down. He wants to just destroy everything, and it's up to Batman to save Gotham. Save Gotham, I tell you. Yeah, the look of this is fantastic. There's lots of IMAX, scenes which are incredible. I love that. That is a fantastic image, and just the whole look of it, the car, the look, the costume. Now, with Bane's mask, there was a bit of a problem when this film first came out, that people were complaining that they couldn't hear a word that he was saying. Because, you know, with Christopher Nolan, with Christopher Nolan, he likes to have the music a little bit louder than the dialogue, so you can't hear anything. So they had to re-record Bane's dialogue. And if you watch it back, you can definitely tell, you know, it's booming now. It's just overpowering the music. But I'm glad they did that. Yeah, this was also a fantastic scene as well. The old American football game. But yeah, it's a great film. It's a great film. Like I say, all of this Batman trilogy is just absolutely amazing. And, you know, comic book films, some comic book films come and, you know, just don't leave a lasting legacy. Halle Berry, Catwoman. But when you get a true comic book movie like this, to go along with The Dark Knight and also Batman Begins, then it's definitely worth having in your collection. And it's great to do like a trillathon. Is that a word? A trillathon? Maybe I've just invented a new word. Not a marathon, a trillathon. Trillathon. That's good. Maybe I should catchphrase. What's it called? Put my stamp on it. Yes, a trillathon. Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love the look of it. I love the sound of it. The emotion in it. And the beautiful ending is fantastic. It's a fantastic film. The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, what a great trilogy. What a bloody great trilogy this is. Okay, next up, Interstellar. Yes, someone once asked me if I was going Interstellar. I didn't know anybody called Stella. Oh dear me. Yes, anyway, Interstellar, Academy Award winner, visual effects. My God, those visual effects. This is a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece. This is my second favourite Christopher Nolan film of all time. Some people will put it at first. It's really difficult between this and The Dark Knight, I'm telling you. It's kind of almost level. It's just The Dark Knight and Heath Ledger's performance just pushes it over the top of the Interstellar. But we have a great cast. We have Matthew McConaughey. We have Jessica Chastain, Michael Caine. We have Anne Hathaway. We also have an appearance by Matt Damon. Yeah, and basically the Earth is dying, and all that we've got to look forward to is a lot of dust. A lot of dust and sand that's killing the crops, and there's no more armies. You know, Earth is on its way out, and all of a sudden there's an opportunity to fly a ship and go through this wormhole to a distant galaxy where it's possible there's some planets that can, you know, sustain human life. Because, you know, the Earth is done. The Earth is all just, it's completely done. They need to leave Earth and just go and colonise somewhere else and make a mess of that planet. Yeah, it does go a little bit more in depth with it, a little bit deeper. But the look of this is incredible. First of all, the IMAX shots. Wow, I remember watching this. I remember watching this on the cinema. I did not have an IMAX screen when this came out. It wasn't built in Ashford. It's a damn shame. But I can imagine what those IMAX shots would have been like on the big screen. So I hope one day that they get a chance to re-release this and put it into my Ashford IMAX, because I'll be there day one, performance one. I don't care if the cinema's completely full. I'll squeeze myself in somewhere. Yeah, so shots like this, yeah, and the big, you know, the widescapes of the planets, you know, like the ice, kind of the ice planet with the floating clouds and all that, and the giant wave on Miller's planet. Yes, by the time it's taken for me to talk about this video, 8 years has gone by. Yes, we're all getting a little bit older. But wow, the action in this is fantastic. The look of it, the emotion, the scientific. I can't talk about the science of it, the scientific element of it, about time and dimensions and all that kind of stuff, because yeah, I didn't do that kind of stuff at school. I'm not a sciencey person. So I just leave it to the imagination and enjoy the ride. And this is a really great, no, this is not a really great movie. This is a masterpiece. Like I said it at the beginning. this is probably one of the very first films in space that ever really made me feel like how big space really is. It actually evoked a sense of depth in space and how big it is, and dangers as well, you know, like Miller's Planet and that. So it had this really grand scale that was awe-inspiring, jaw-dropping, and it just gave you that moment of awe. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And of course the score. You can't get past the film without the score. Hans Zimmer's score. One of the most identifiable pieces of music probably in any movie in the history of movies. You know, you could have Jurassic Park, Star Wars, Superman, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Interstellar. You know what film it's from if you hear it. It is so identifiable, and it just has that right element to it. It has that right resonance, and it just carries through the entire film. We get the massive crescendos of the music, and then it goes down into like very quiet sweeping music, but it is an absolute masterpiece. Yeah, one of the greatest films of all time, and my second favourite Nolan film behind The Dark Knight. But Interstellar, it's up there. It's up there with the likes of 2001, which I still haven't seen yet, Star Wars, Close Encounters, E.T., as, you know, films that are magnificent, and it's all about time, that they're timeless, a timeless masterpiece. Yes, there we go. That is Interstellar. Absolutely amazing movie. Okay, next up we have Dunkirk. Yes, the story of the evacuation of hundreds of thousands of soldiers on the beaches of Dunkirk in World War II. And this film is told in three different aspects. We get a week for one set of storylines, then we get a day for another set of storylines, and then we get an hour, and they all kind of like intermingle. And the great thing about this is that various scenes we get to see several times, but we see it from a different point of view. You know, like if a plane's gonna sink a ship, we'll see that, and then later on in the film we'll see soldiers climbing out of the boat and then the plane attacking it. So yeah, I really like that aspect of it. Apparently it confused a lot of people. I don't know how this film confused anybody. If anything's going to confuse anybody, then it will be the next Nolan film that I watch. Yeah, and that's going to be a tricky one, because I have not seen Tenet for a long time, so I'm very interested to see my take on that one now. But anyway, as for Dunkirk, we get Mark Rylance in there, who's one of the boatmen in one of the little small boats that goes to rescue the soldiers on the beach. We have Harry Styles, believe it or not. He was actually pretty good in it. I thought he might be a bit annoying, but no, he was actually pretty good. We also have Cillian Murphy as well as a rescued soldier, and also Tom Hardy as one of the Spitfire pilots, and Kenneth Branagh as well as kind of like an admiral or a captain that was helping with the evacuation of Dunkirk. Believe it or not, the actual scene right at the very end of the film with Tom Hardy when that Spitfire lands on the beach, that is actually really happening. That was a real Spitfire that they landed on the exact spot on the beach of Dunkirk. And I think they only had like an hour's window before the tide came in. Otherwise, you know, it would start to sink into the sand and that. But a lot of the Spitfires that they used were actually lent by some billionaire for the use of the film. And also some of the small boats, the actual small boats that, you know, actually made this journey in World War II are actually back again. I think it's like 12 boats, I think. At the premiere of this, there was a couple of soldiers that were actually on the beach, and they said it was the truest depiction of Dunkirk that they've ever seen. The only thing that bothered them was that the audio was actually louder than the actual bombardments from the bombs. Yes, and also I read that when Christopher Nolan was scouting for the location for this on actual Dunkirk beach, he actually found a soldier's button from their uniform from World War II. So that's kind of neat, really neat, yeah. But as for Dunkirk, it's a really good film, really great war film. It's not a very long film, it's an hour and 45 minutes. But it doesn't need to be 2.5 hours, 3 hours. You don't have to do a long film all the time. And it's refreshing to have the story told and, end. And what can I say? The visuals were brilliant. The cinematography was fantastic. I've got to say the audio. I've never noticed it before, but since I bought my Panasonic UB9000, the audio is just kicking it. It's kicking my ass. And I tell you now, the audio on this was absolutely unbelievable. I know I moan, oh, if it's not in Atmos or DTS-X, then it's not going to be that good. But seriously, this DTS-X sound, this DTS Master Audio 5.1 soundtrack was flipping amazing. And some of the sound of the planes, the screaming as they went overhead, and the bombs when they dropped the bombs, and on the boats that are on approaching Dunkirk, and it was just so loud. It's like being back in the IMAX actually. Yeah, so great performances all round, great cinematography, great action shots, fantastic score from Hans Zimmer again. It's a very different score. It's kind of a thumping score, a repetitive thumping score with kind of like drumming effects. But it fits the film perfectly. And I remember actually when I went to see this with Mama Bowman at the View Cinema in Westwood Cross, and I think it was sold out. We went in kind of like late in the afternoon. It was about 4 o'clock. We were like 2 rows from the actual screen because it was so sold out. And the thing with films like set in the 40s and that, or World War II or World War One, most of the audience is of the elder generation because they remember it. And it was just weird. It was just a weird experience being in the cinema for probably one of the youngest people in the cinema amongst lots of 80-year-olds and 90-year-olds. It's really weird. So I've never experienced anything like that before. But as a war film, absolutely fantastic. Right up there with Saving Private Ryan as one of the greatest war films of all time. And it's just absolutely brilliant. I just absolutely love this film. Yeah, and I've got a really nice steelbook there as well. And it also comes with a nice bonus disc inside. So yeah, so fantastic. There we go. That is Dunkirk. That definitely gets a thumbs up, not just for a truly fantastic film, but a truly fantastic war film as well. If you haven't checked out Dunkirk, do it. Okay, next up we have Tenet, or yes, Tenet. Yes. This is a tricky one. Okay, so even after three watches, I still don't understand a lot of it. But it's to do with like inversion and time and just going backwards, going forwards. It's just more of a spectacle than trying to understand the story. I remember when I first went to see this at the cinema, and I come out, and you only have to watch my review. Yeah, it is making a little bit more sense each time I watch it. anyway, let's talk about the cast. Yeah, because it's going to do me head in otherwise. So we've got Kenneth Branagh. He plays this Russian villain. And he wants to basically take the world down with a nuclear bomb. It also talks about in the future there's a temporal war. See what I mean? Yeah, and then you've got John David Washington, who plays the lead. You've got Robert Pattinson and also Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Elizabeth Debicki. So they're the main cast. And it's about interweaving with time and the future, the past. It is an hard one to explain. It is, yeah. It's just the future, the past, intermixed, temporal. It's just, that's it. I'm not talking about it anymore. Let's just talk about the spectacle of it. The IMAX shots, the standout action scenes, such as the opening massacre at the opera and the highway chase that intermixes going forwards and going backwards. You've got this massive end scene, this big battle that kind of like feels a bit like Starship Troopers, where soldiers are going backwards and soldiers are going forwards, explosions going off and then not, buildings are going back up. Yeah. Do you know what? If I put this on for my dad, he would not have a clue what the hell was going on. And I've seen it 3 times and I'm still stumped on some parts of it. But it's a good film. It's a good film. If you can understand temporal mechanics and the future, the past, how it all interjects with each other and what the story is mainly about. So that's all I can say really, but it's still an enjoyable film. You just need to have some paracetamol after you've watched it. Yes, anyway, that's Tenet. It looked fantastic. It sounded flipping amazing coming through my UB9000. That audio was unbelievable. Yeah, and that was only a DTS HD Master Audio soundtrack as well. So, yeah, it's a good film. Not one of my favourite Nolan films because it's too intellectually intelligent for my little pea brain. But it's a fun film. It's a fun film. You just have to go with it, go with the flow, and just admire the grand scale of it. Yeah, anyway, there we go. That's Tenet. We better move on to the final film in the Christopher Nolan marathon. That is Oppenheimer. Tenet. Oh yeah, did you know that actually Tenet backwards actually spells Tenet? I don't know why it's taken me this long to actually realise it. It's like ABBA, isn't it? What's ABBA backwards? Okay, so we are on the final film, Oppenheimer. Yes, this is a 3-hour movie. It is a long one. And it is 3 hours of dialogue. There's not much action apart from the explosion, which I'll talk about in a minute. So for some people, this could be a bit of a slog to get through. All I'd say is that it's a very good film about Robert J. Oppenheimer, about the father of the atomic bomb, the man that created the atomic bomb that blew up Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and basically ended World War II. You know, the Germans had already surrendered and everything. It was just the Japanese that just wouldn't go away. So that put an end to them. But yeah, it is a long film to get through. There are some great performances in the film. Obviously, Cillian Murphy, fantastic as Robert Oppenheimer. We also have Robert Downey Jr. as well. He was absolutely amazing. Alden Ehrenreich is in there as well. Matt Damon, he's in there. And a few others as well. And Emily Blunt, that's it. Florence Pugh, Kenneth Branagh, Casey Affleck, Josh Hartnett, Rami Malek. They all have kind of like sort of shortened roles. But yeah, it is based on a book, and it just shows what was needed at the time to end this war. The whole film is told kind of like from a court case, like intermixing black and white court scenes in with like the actual moment, the actual flashback moment scenes of when the story was told. So we get intermixing with Robert Downey Jr. and the court, and then we also get Robert Oppenheimer as he kind of like makes his way, his journey through devising this bomb, quantum science and mechanics and nuclear physics and all that kind of stuff. We even get an appearance in here by good old Albert Einstein as well. Yeah, and he hasn't got a drug on the end of his tongue. So yeah, it is a long film, but if you stick with it, there's some really great dialogue. The only thing I would say, and I remember this from when I saw this at the cinema, I was let down a little bit by the bomb itself, the testing of the bomb in the desert. I was expecting it to be bigger. I know Christopher Nolan didn't want CGI or anything like that, so he used real explosives. Personally, I think that Nolan should have gone out into the middle of the desert with a real nuke and just detonated it. I mean, they did in Indiana Jones. All he needed was a fridge. Yeah, but having said that, you know, it's a really good film. But you have to stick with it and you have to follow the story. Second time round was a lot better watching it for me than the first time. I think the first time I struggled a little bit. I felt there's too much dialogue, but I kind of understood a lot of the scientific dialogue in it, not the equations. No way I couldn't understand the equations. But I understood it a little bit more with the dialogue this time. So, yeah, Oppenheimer. Yeah, it's a really good film. Again, not one of my favourite Nolan films. You know, there's a handful of films that I would put on before Oppenheimer. But it's still a really great film. And great performances and some good tension in there as well. And visuals, really good visuals. So there we go. So that is it. That is my entire Christopher Nolan review series. We have another film to look forward to next year, The Odyssey, which we've all seen a teaser for it a year before it's out. So we have to wait a little while for that. But yeah, there we go. So I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, like it by giving it some thumbs up. Boop. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and share. Stick down in the comments, what's your top 3 Christopher Nolan films? Be interesting to see how people's preferences vary. But there we go. That is the whole Christopher Nolan anthology so far. Till the next video then. Bye-bye.